Today, I will be presenting my research paper topic concerning David Salle and his controversial depictions of women, specifically his technique of masking misogyny via elements of simulation and collage. The anticipated structure of my essay is as follows. Focusing on Salle's 1980s artworks, my research paper primarily examines his controversial depictions of women from a contemporary feminist lens. I will discuss Salle's emergence onto the New York art scene and examine the history of women's objectification in art, exploring trends among the depicted female form, beginning with the Venus of Willendorf. I will also consider Diego Ventriloquist's Venus, whose, quote, waist is impossibly small, her buttocks smooth and peachy, and her skin pearlescent, free from blemish, bruise, or hair. These references help explain how the female body is the oldest and most commonly depicted motif in the visual arts. In my thesis statement, I plan to agree with Mira Shore's claim in Wet on painting feminism and art culture, which is that the juxtaposition of representation with abstraction and appropriated images in Salle's paintings serves only to distract viewers from the subject of misogyny. However, I will also argue that Salle's hypersexualization of women is unsurprising, as male artists have been objectifying the female form since the prehistoric era, which is a point that Shore fails to raise in her piece from 1997. Salle emerged onto the New York art scene alongside Jean-Michel Basquiat, Eric Fischl, Thomas Lawson, Walter Robinson, and Julian Schnabel. When the art world had posited painting as past its prime, Salle and his peers boldly reinvigorated the form. The modernist era artwork was primarily attached to the notion that a presentation of an image should remain faithful to the authentic experience of that image. Salle used these realistic images as components of paché works of a heroic scale, hinting at the abstract expressionism observed in art by Jackson Pollock, Mark Rothko, and William de Kooning in the 1940s and 50s. Salle's paintings reflect the theater fields by giving the impression of a stage on which actors were part of a cast of subliminal characters in the drama of life. Salle's paintings are like snapshots of singular moments within a stream of simultaneous, superficial thoughts and visuals that can dwell in people's minds. Salle objectifies women in his paintings. Deborah Solomon, in Reading David Salle, argues that Salle fixates on sexually explicit subjects as, quote, a way to focus attention on his work and reveal in his new sense of personal and expressive freedom. Fooling with Your Hair, a large-scale horizontal painting with the bluntness of a mural by Diego Rivera, showcases Salle at perhaps his most transgressive. The image exists among two garishly opposed halves. The top half is alluringly bright and modish, with its orderly sequence of designer lamps and Giacometti sculptures lined up like trophy statues. In contrast, the bottom half, painted in noirish gazelle, presents three frames of a half-dressed woman lying on a metal table. The woman is angled with her face distant from the viewer, making it difficult to read her expression, but her legs are legible. In an extreme perspective, the model lies on a table in different poses, likely captured by the camera only seconds apart, implying movement and performance. According to Solomon, the woman's heavily shadowed body is sexualized and objectified yet distanced. In her view, Salle's use of provocative imagery overlaps with design and fine art sculptures by a modern master seeks to encourage the viewer to question the connections between the two. Asked in an interview by Frederick Tudin about his intentions for Fooling with Your Hair, Salle states, I think the desire to paint comes out of looking at paintings and identifying with the actual material process. You have to feel that yourself can be expressed through paint. You have to be able to sense painting as both a metaphor and a specific physical reality and feel that the two states are inseparable. Otherwise, you shouldn't bother. Another significant example of Salle's controversial depictions of women is the disappearance of the booming voice. This artwork is appropriated from mass media and pornography and offers a provocative image photographed by Salle. The woman lies on her back, holding her knees to her stomach. Her face is invisible, but her vulva, buttocks, feet, and toes appear tensed, indicating pain or sexual arousal. Here, she is dominated by phallic representations as a pattern cloth shape lies over her, and paint tipped pegs protrude from the wooden picture plane above her. In another interview, Salle explains that what is compelling about pornography is knowing that someone did it, stating, "It is not just seeing what you are presented with, but knowing that someone set it up for you to see. The great thing about pornography is that something has been photographed." Mentioned in Masculinity from Wet on Painting, Feminism, and Art Culture, Shore views Salle's statement as a suggestion that photography is for the enhancement of pornography. Although critics have criticized and confronted Salle about his artwork's problematic references to pornography, Shore points out that they often ignore his misogyny. She claims that skeptics overlook how his depictions of women are continuously refuted and excused in favor of a wider possibility of discussion, discussed in terms of the deconstruction of the meaning of imagery and art historical references. According to the Museum of Modern Art, the female body is the oldest and most commonly depicted motif in the visual arts. Some of the earliest depictions of women, like the Venus figurine, come from the prehistoric period. In exaggerating physical features such as her reproductive organs, like the abdomen, hips, breasts, thighs, and vulva, the artist of the Venus figurine insinuates the ancient belief that doing so would bring fertility. Most statues, like the Venus figurine, have wide hips, legs that taper to a point, no arms and feet, and a head that is small and faceless. A later example of the female form is the Rokeby Venus, or Venus and Cupid, depicting the mythological goddess of love and beauty. Venus lies on a bed in a sensual pose, looking into a mirror held by Cupid, the Roman god of physical love, who is without his usual bow and arrows. In antiquity, the portrayal of Venus from a back view with her knees tucked was a common visual and literary erotic motif. When first inventoried, the work was said to be of, quote, a nude woman, recognizing its controversial nature. As Venus looks outward at the viewer of the painting through her reflected image in the mirror, her face is blurred, revealing only a dim reflection of her characteristics. These examples highlight the historical artistic trends of obscured faces and explicit physicality among female figures. Here is a detail image in another. And here's my working bibliography. And that's it. Thank you.